So today I'm going to be talking about Verbal Judo. Now when I first picked up Verbal Judo, I thought it was going to be a book on debate, how to win an argument, logic, reason, that type of thing. But it's not that at all. It's actually a book about interpersonal relationships, how to persuade people, and how to deal with crap when it's flung at you. Never say the words that rise most readily to your lips. If you do, you will give the greatest speech you will ever live to regret. This is a phrase that is repeated multiple times throughout the book to really drive it home, that you have to be careful what you say. Why is this the case? While physical wounds may fade, wounds caused by words last forever. The good news is that with training, you can take crap with dignity and style. It is not a question of whether or not crap will be flung at you, but how you will respond when it is. Empathy absorbs tension. Empathy is trying to see the world through the lens of that other person, trying to see their point of view, trying to put yourself in their shoes. There's a number of things that it does not mean. It does not mean that you like the person. It does not mean that you love the person. It does not mean that you agree with the person or approve of the person. It does not mean that you have to accept their invitation to Thanksgiving dinner. What it does mean is you try to understand their point of view. And if you can do that, then they think that you at least care enough to understand them, and it helps absorb the tension in that potentially volatile situation. Now, paraphrasing is effectively repeating back to the other person what they said, but putting it in your own words. Now, this has a number of benefits. One is that it gives the other person the opportunity to correct what you're saying if you misunderstood them. Another benefit is that it makes the other person a better listener, because nobody listens better than to their own point of view. Also, you're creating empathy. By repeating back to the other person what you think they mean, you are showing the other person that you are legitimately trying to understand what they're saying and that you're investing the time to understand them and their point of view. You are also getting the other person's attention, right? So instead of them ranting to you, you're able to say, hang on, wait a minute, let me make sure that I am understanding you correctly. Now they're listening to you. Now you can give them an XY type statement. You can say, I think you're feeling this because this. I think you're feeling X because Y. You're feeling hurt because you think I always do this. You think you're feeling hurt because you think I am intentionally doing this thing. And then they can revise that and say, no, I'm feeling hurt, but I don't think you always do it. I don't think you're intentionally doing it, but it sure seems like it. Another key concept in Verbal Judo is that the responsibility of understanding falls on the speaker, not the listener. There's 4 basic components in communication. There's content, coding, sending, and decoding. Now notice the last one, decoding, is the only one that the listener does. The other 3, the first 3 concepts, are done by the speaker, not the listener. So the person listening is only able to decode in direct proportion with how well the message was sent in the first place. Basically, how well you speak, how well you present your idea is directly proportional with how well the listener is able to understand that idea. So let's break those down a little bit more. There's content, there's what you're trying to say, and you have to know what you're trying to say. Then there's coding, and coding is putting it into words, basically choosing the words that reflect the meaning that you're trying to convey. Then there's sending the message, so that's the words you actually use in the body language that accompany those words. Then there's decoding. Now there's some problems with decoding. The person can be distracted by the environment, a fly buzzing around their head, the sound of a distant train, the fan, whatever it is, somebody else talking in the room. Those are all things that the speaker has to overcome. They have to get the attention of that person and then put their message into the right words, use the appropriate voice and body language to convey the message. people rarely say what they mean. So if you react versus respond, then you make an error. So if you're reacting to people, you're usually allowing yourself to be controlled from the outside. Whereas if you respond, you are in control of your speech and you are responding accordingly to what the other person is trying to say versus to what they're actually saying. You're able to paraphrase and show empathy and employ a lot of the techniques in verbal judo. So to wrap up today, there are 26 maxims that he puts at the end of verbal judo, and I want to give you 3 today. First up is an old samurai saying, and it is, men are like steel. When they lose their temper, they are useless. The second one, I don't think is a samurai saying. It is, when your mouth opens, your ears slam shut. Basically, be quiet, listen, and then speak. The third maxim that I'm going to leave you with today is really the reason for verbal judo. It's the reason that it's necessary, and it is common sense is most uncommon under pressure. This is the reason why the author traveled around and did seminars. This is the reason why he trained police. This is the reason why he went and spoke at businesses. It's the reason I need verbal judo. It's the reason that I need to learn these principles, so that way when I'm under pressure, when people are, throwing shade at me or throwing dirt at me, I'm able to respond with dignity and in the best way possible. That's it for today, folks. Thank you for watching. Bye.